Hi, everyone. Welcome to DomainSherpa. Happy holidays and Happy New Year. Thank you for tuning in to the podcast with the best domain name and digital asset content in the world. Today, we've got our DomainSherpa 2024 holiday show with Jen, Shane, Braden, Josh, and Billy. And this is where we spread some holiday cheer and some domain knowledge. We highlight some of the things we saw in 2024 and what we're expecting as we ride into 2025. We also get into the NameJetGonnaJet segment. We review a list of domains coming up for auction, including Crusader.com, iPop.com, SparklingWater.com, and TJ.net. And remember, if you're listening to the audio version of this podcast, you can also watch the video version at DomainSherpa.com and on our YouTube channel at ds.tv. You can also listen to the shows on Apple and Spotify and other podcast platforms as well. So please make sure to hit the like button and the subscribe button and all that good stuff everywhere that you can and help DomainSherpa grow the pie. We also integrate our shows with Muse.ai, which provides search functionality for the shows and transcripts as well. So definitely check all that out. And huge shout out to DNWE, short for Domain Name Wholesale Exchange. It's a trading platform designed specifically for domain investors, streamlining the process of buying and selling domain names to make it quicker and easier. With a community of over 3,500 investors, DNWE enhances market liquidity, facilitating more efficient transactions with standard domain listings, reverse auctions, standard auctions, and soon-to-be-added portfolio auctions, including traffic portfolios. DNWE is part of EW3N, a family-run digital asset investment company based in London, England, that also operates DomainManage.com, which is a global sales platform, and Brandable.uk, which is a marketplace for UK and Co.uk domain names. And also just big shout out for the scavenger hunt that they did this year. That was a ton of fun and was a great way to kick off our sponsorship with them. So very grateful for them in 2024 and excited to partner with them continuing into 2025. And also big shout out to Unstoppable Domains, the only ICANN accredited registrar that lets you trade DNS domains on chain and access crypto investors with 3% commissions at cost renewals and hundreds of resellers soon to be integrated. They're a cutting edge marketplace you need to know about and use to get more sales and keep your costs down. And for domainers with large portfolios, go ahead and email Brady at unstoppabledomains.com and see if you qualify for their free transfer in promo. And last but certainly not least, shout out to our own business, MediaOptions, the #1 domain brokerage in the world. Find out more at MediaOptions.com, where you can also sign up for our newsletter for the best domain names and domain opportunities available in the market every week, and also featuring key insights and other helpful information related to branding, naming, and of course, domain investing. With that, it's now time to get into this festive episode of DomainSherpa, where all roads lead to domains. Happy holidays and Happy New Year. What's up, Sherpa Network? Happy holidays and Happy New Year. I just had to cut off all the off-camera chatter B-roll just so we could get the show actually moving. Let's go. It is the end of 2024, and it is that time of year. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, Happy Festivus, Happy Boxing Day, and Happy New Year. We are actually, for Jen, it's already 2025. She is in a whole nother year, a whole nother dimension. So happy. And that's actually super exciting. So we didn't do, I guess this is our holiday show. I was going to say we didn't do our holiday show, but this is it. This is it right here. It is that time of year. Thank you for tuning in today. My name is Jonathan Tenenbaum, a.k.a. JT, a.k.a. Jay On, a.k.a. Sherpa Winfrey, the host and producer of DomainSherpa, where all roads lead to domains. 2024 has been pretty crazy, to say the least. So this show, we're going to divert a little bit from our typical sort of DomainSherpa review. It's not exactly a rabbit hole. This is just one of those special holiday episodes that we do, and where we get to bring our friends and family on to do what we do. We'll talk some domains, some not domains. I don't know what's going to happen. It's kind of crazy. I don't know what the end of 2024 is about to bring, but it's our holiday spectacular with an exclamation point, bringing on our Sherpas and talking about different things in the domain space. Like I said, some things related, some things not. So we're in the middle of the grand opening. I'll intro the Sherpas, see what's going on with them, talk about some related things, some unrelated things. We're going to skip the domain game, like I said. Instead, we're going to talk about some topics, see what the Sherpas maybe want to talk about. We've got some conferences coming up. We got some good stuff happening for sure. And then we'll do a little bit of NameJetGonnaJet. I actually have a decent sized list today. I think about 20 names because we got a bunch of people on here. And then we got GrandClosing, where we'll just chat about anything we haven't already covered. We'll keep it pretty short because it's so the Sherpas can go and enjoy all the New Year's festivities and all that stuff. Jen's like, what do you mean? These are my festivities.
Yeah.
Happy New
Where
Year.
am I?
Yeah, right. Like, wait, how did I get here? This is super weird. And with that, let me go ahead and introduce the Sherpas. Over to my right, I got my homegirl Jen Sale, aka Aussie Osborne, aka Olivia Newton-Jen, aka Crocodile Dundee, aka Dingo Star, aka the Wonder Woman from Down Under, aka Melbourne to be wild, aka Jen. If you have to ask how much it is, you can't afford it because our stuff never goes on sale, aka Sipping on Gin and Juice, aka Generous. I don't know why I have that one on the list. I don't even know where that one came. Did you just pop one of those champagne poppers?
I don't know if you heard that. It sounded like an explosion in my house. Oh, well.
No, you know what? We didn't hear it. So, Billy, when you go into post-production, you got to throw an explosion on that. You know what I'm saying? So let's make that happen. All right, let's keep going. Let me go around the horn. I'm gonna do all the intros and then we'll just get into it. So, all right, continuing, we got my boy Braden Pollock, aka Tony Stark, aka Benjamin Button, aka Eat Bray Love, aka Braden Statham, aka Braden Pollockton, the ex-Archduke of Calabasas, now the Viscount of Woodland Hills. It's not that your domain is worthless; it's just that it's worth less, bitch. What's up, man? How you doing? Happy almost New Year. For you, it'll be your New Year will be later than everybody else's. So so you got a little bit of time. Maybe I should maybe I should have introduced you last, because by the time I get done with all the AKAs, it'll probably be New Year's.
New Year's. Yeah.
You know,
I've got more time to hydrate and stretch for tonight. So
there you go. I like it. You got it. Preparation is key. All right, continuing around the horn, we got my boy Shane Culture, aka Sugar Shane, aka Honey Shane, aka Mike Bro, aka Blame It on the Shane, aka House of Shane, aka the Blue Oyster Culture, aka the Culture Personality, aka the Culture Club, aka Doing It for the Culture, aka Shane in the Membrane, and aka Shane in the Blockchain. I'm actually reading off a list. You wouldn't know that. You think I'm already like doing my New Year's stuff. What's up, man? Dick Clark in the background with his Rockin' Eve. 100%. And I think I can see it from here. I think it says, "Hey Shane, go fuck yourself, Dick Clark." Yeah, that's pretty cool that he did that for you.
No, he did that, and he's dead now. So that's what happened.
So who gets the last laugh, huh, Dick?
I'm all on Anderson Cooper.
Oh, no. All right. Hey, man. All good.
I moved over to Anderson Cooper. That's how old I am. I watch Anderson Cooper on New Year's make little like snarky jokes, and that's the highlight of my evening.
We've entered into that phase of the programming and of our lives.
That Anderson Cooper is so funny. Yeah, no, exactly.
Isn't he? Did you see what he just did? Did you hear what he just said? Yeah, we're actually getting out of the house for New Year's because we had said if we stay here, it's going to be me sleeping on the couch at like 10 o'clock at night while my kids are upstairs playing Fortnite. You know what I mean? Like, it's like we've got to go.
Well, you got to go to the real one. Like, we get to decide. When's Braden even more? You get to decide. I'll just do the Eastern like New Year's. That'll be good. If I make it till 11 o'clock,
that's good.
Good enough.
I'm doing
like,
the Australia.
I'll do the Eastern one or the Central. Let's go and do the Mountain one. Like he gets 40.
I'm doing them all
New Year.
I celebrated with Jen when she had New Year's, so I'm doing them all.
That's it. Every time it's like Braden is your New Year's like shotgun partner. You know what I'm saying? It's like he's gonna knock them all. Like you got to do X amount of shots. I know you don't drink really, but like doing X amount of shots on like every New Year's that come, hour by hour. I think it's actually
Hawaii gets to do it like 40 times.
Yeah, that's
it's like every hour per day.
That's it. I love it. Well, how many time zones are there total? Does anybody know that little piece of trivia offhand?
I have no idea.
I could ask chat.
Let's do it.
I know I have meetings on 5 zones. That's
like
I consider 5 major.
There are 24 regions, 24 time zones, which I guess makes sense. There's 24 hours in the day, right? I mean,
yeah. Considering the way the Earth moves, I'm
telling you, I'm getting dumber as I get older. I forget things now. We just did the escape room with my kids, and I'm like just basic stuff. Like it just gets tough. It gets tougher as you get older.
There's 6 of us. We're all like, I don't know.
Exactly. Yeah. Hey, your guess is good as mine. All right, let's keep it moving. Down way at the bottom, but not at the bottom. We got the one and only making his annual appearance on the show. We got William Billy Tenenbaum, aka Billy the Kid, aka Willie Wiskins, aka Mr. Editor, you know what I'm saying? aka Captain Cut It. I don't know, man. You know what I'm saying? I probably should have had some better ones for you, but you were.
That's an annual tradition that you don't.
There you go. That's it. That should be the thing. It's like when you're on the show, it's like no way. You're like the only one with no AK. Anyway, what's up, dude? Appreciate all the help as always. If nothing else, I love having you on the show just to say thank you. I mean, I see you all the time, but to be able to say thank you publicly for all the hard work and just dealing with all the nonsense that we put you through.
A lot of nonsense. Whole lot of nonsense.
It is a whole lot, but Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Happy New Year to all the Sherpas out there that are not on this episode.
Oh, okay. You know, we're not hyping them up too much because they're not here. You know what I'm saying? So if they couldn't be here, it's like
I got love for all our Sherpas.
Oh, love for all the Sherpas. That's good. Peace and love and for the Sherpas into the new year. I dig it. All right. And last but certainly not
least. Which one would you eat first?
Oh yeah, seriously. And why I don't know why I keep getting picked in that. It's a little unsettling.
Yeah. I pick you out of non-domain investors I would eat. Like when people ask me just people in general, like I don't even narrow it down to domain investors you'd eat first. I just like you, like
not even about Sherpas.
It's not Sherpas. It's just like,
these are conversations I have with the guy, the lady checking me out at the grocery store. You know, like
you're on my dine list, like the Donner Pass. Like you are my Donner guy.
Oh man, that's love right there. I think. or not. I don't know what that is. But thanks, Jen, for starting that trend. That was great. It's weird enough having to answer it on the show. You know what I mean? And then I'm watching and I'm like, wait, no, they're not going to say me. But it's all right.
It's okay. Some people have chosen me as well. It's fine. Like, at least you wanted.
There you go. Is it better for people to say, hey, I would eat that guy, or you be ignored? You know what I'm saying? It's like there's a Key and Peele episode. Yeah. Where it's a zombie apocalypse, right? And I think it's and they're like, all right, we got to get to the police station. We just got to get through this crowd of zombies and just don't get bit. And they start going, and none of the zombies are approaching them to the point that they just start walking. And they're like, you know, and then they're like, hello, and they're just ignoring them. And then they come up on two older zombies in a car, and as they approach, you know, they lock the door real quick and they're like, yo, that's some bullshit. These are some racist ass zombies. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't want to eat me? What are you talking about? You know, it's like, I actually literally just saw that on Instagram this morning. So, anyway.
Josh, you know, when he was asked, he just dismissed me. He was like, Braden's too small. And that kind of hurt.
Did I say that?
He didn't even consider eating me like for a second.
No.
Dude, he's like, that's like eating like grass.
I'm a carnivore, man. I like plenty of meat on the bone.
Yeah.
That's it, man. That's it. That's what it's. You know what I mean? It's got to last. Like I said, my pick was Drew, just based off of. I looked at it like if we're going cannibal style, I'm just eliminating the greatest threat right off the bat. You know what I'm saying?
100%. I think that's what I said too.
It'll be dank tasting.
It was a business decision. You know what I mean?
Greatest threat of what? Greatest threat of what? Like. What is he threatening you with?
Survivor.
He's a survivor.
If it turns into a survivor kind of thing, and it's like, hey, there's only one of us going to get off the island. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm taking
Lord of the Flies. It goes Lord of the Flies. There's gonna have to be like you end up like they've done studies on this as well. It's like people like will need a leader. People will need a caregiver. People will need like it's just like these like instinctual like human basic. Look, that was an accident question that I asked because I then didn't even ask it to Braden, who was on after, because I'm just like, that's ridiculous. I can't ask everyone this. Like, this is going to get weird. Well, it did. So I just kept rolling with it.
I think it's awesome. I think it's so.
We asked you on a Sherpa episode after.
Oh, yeah. And I think we should take out Drew right away.
Yeah, but
then after we eat Drew, then we'll all be stoned for a while.
That is an ancillary benefit. You know what I'm saying? You're like, oh, now we're all just kind of chilling.
I think it's different. I get rid of Drew and then I feed all of you to become your leader.
There you go.
I just take him out to get rid of the competition, and then I stew him up real nice, feed you a good meal, and we're good. Like that's how it goes down.
That's a real kumbaya moment after we all feed on
I am feeling a bit weird though now that I've got some upcoming guests who like Sherpas. Like it's like, do I really ask Paul Nix, who are you going to eat on Sherpa Island? Like, that's kind of getting a bit weird.
Yeah.
He's going to be like, I don't know who's on the show. I never watch it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He's going to be like, what's Domain Sherpa?
What's Sherpa? Yeah.
Thank you for having me on Domain Name Wire. Anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Like, thank you, Andrew Alleman.
Anyway.
Hey, come on.
I was going to ask if the GoDaddy CEO has been on Sherpa. Yeah, he's like, I'm taking him out.
Yeah, he'll take him out first. I like that. That's good. Help him get, that's
all
good.
in fun.
All in good fun. All right. Hey, we're not even done with the AKA, so let's wrap this up. Last but certainly not least, we got the one and only Josh Reason, aka Bjorn Borg, aka Prince Harry, aka Harry Kane, aka Prince Harry Kane, aka Chicka Slim Shady, aka Mr. Pickle. What's going on? You wearing your pickleball hat? Is that from a tournament that y'all played in? Did you win? Like what? Where was it?
My wife is like pickle obsessed now, and she was like, she joined a league. They gave her this hat, and I was like, I kind of like this hat. So
okay. All right, I dig it, man. I wasn't sure if I was gonna go Christmas sweater today. I thought I'd keep it green. I go with the Eagles. They're playing some good football. We got the playoffs coming up. Need my man Jalen Hurts to get healthy and get back after it, but.
Here, I got one question. Is Saquon going to play in the last game and go after the number? Or are they going to...
Did they announce it officially, or you're just saying that, Billy?
I'm just saying, to me, there's a big dilemma in life. Do you set an all-time record that's really hard to achieve, or do you be part of the team and rest up and get ready for the playoffs?
Yeah, so
to me, why they will not play him is as soon as he hit the 2,000 mark, they pulled him. They didn't let him go for any more extra yardage in that game.
I mean, he ran for 160 already, you know what I'm saying? And it was,
If they really want him to go for the record, you don't pull him.
Yep. So young people, let's not go into details. We'll talk domains, but young people watch the game and you will figure out the difference between team and individual on the
so here's my thing about this, and I think we can talk about it for 30 seconds because whatever, this is the holiday show and we're going to talk whatever we want. Drew's not on here because if he was on here, he'd be like freaking out and, telling us to stop talking. But for people who don't know, what's that?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, no. Yeah,
all right.
No idea.
So real quick, for those of you at home,
like another language to me.
I'm gonna give you the 15 seconds, and we're gonna talk about it for 30. Oh, you're wearing the Cowboys hat. That's what you're doing. I get it. So, who won the game last weekend? So anyway, we're talking about American football. So, and the Cowboys talk so much smack. I'm sorry. It's just the one thing where
7 seconds, 6 seconds.
All right, fine. So American football, Philadelphia Eagles, their running back Saquon Barkley just is within sort of striking distance of the all-time single-season rushing record. He needs 100 yards in the next game, which is not easy, but it's definitely doable. He's been playing awesome. It's his first year with the Eagles, and it's like super special if he can get this record. But the Eagles have already clinched their spot in the playoffs. So this game that they're about to play, the last game of the season coming up, is irrelevant for the purposes of winning a championship. So it's just a matter of, hey, we want to get and really when teams get to this point, they're usually resting their best players because they would rather not risk injury, go into the playoffs healthy, give their team the best chance to win a championship. So now this record and all this stuff, I mean, if it's me, I don't play him because I am literally, I'm hyper focused on winning a championship and it's more about the team than it's about the individual. But knowing that it matters as much as it does, I think it's a conversation that has to be had with the coach, with the team owner, with obviously the player, maybe his agent. And, and I think
missing one important part in all this.
Offensive
line.
8 men that stand in front of them that could
get the offensive line
that are like $20 million in.
Yeah, they're all yeah, they make $20 million a year each themselves. I think the players would be like, let's do it, dude. Like, let's go.
It would be a badge of honor for the offensive line too.
But I think that if he gets hurt, imagine the second guessing, and the team's not the same without him. So I don't know. I would kind of, like I said, this would be a conversation around the room, see what he says. And if I'm a coach, I'm saying, what do you want to do, dude? And I think he will probably say, look, I'm good. Let's just, let's get ready to roll. But then they go in and they lose in the first game of the playoffs, which is very possible. Then it's like, did you make the mistake? And, so
no,
I don't know.
Plus the QB's already banged up.
Yeah. So you think he doesn't play? Is that what we're thinking?
99.
Yeah, I'm thinking he's playing it all.
All right. So I think that's the right answer.
Is excited. Derek Dickerson is the guy who owns it, and they asked him, "Do you want him to break the record?" And he's like, "Fuck no, I don't want him to break the record."
Hell no, he's not gonna break it, and I don't want him to. Yeah,
okay,
you guys, you're killing my buzz and you're killing Jen's buzz.
All right, fine. Jen's an Eagles fan. What do you mean? Didn't you see my 10 with Jen? You know what I'm saying? Jen is an Eagles fan. This is her squad.
EAGLES, go Eagles. That's all I got out of it.
It's actually EAGLES, Eagles. But
sorry. Jeez. Look, I'm still learning. Gosh.
Anyway, all right. Enough of that. Let's get into some domain talk. We said we're going to skip the domain game. If anybody had a sale or something they want to talk about, it's all good. But I think there's also a lot of interesting stuff. Let's talk about 2024 in general from a domain perspective and talk a little bit about what we're excited about for 2025. So I can say from our standpoint, MediaOptions, I mean, we had a fantastic year. Our numbers were great. And we did some enormous deals, and we did a bunch of smaller deals, and it was just a great year for domains. I mean, obviously, the crypto, the bull run that we're kind of in this, sort of weird spot at the moment. Like, is it going to continue? Is it done? Like all this kind of stuff. That's its own conversation. But 2024 was great. We expect 2025 to be very good. It'll be interesting for sure. But what about y'all? You guys see a lot of the same? And what are we excited about? Tomorrow and beyond. Like, what's good?
I'll start. Like, I think one of the most important things for me in 2024 is I got my shit organized. Like, I got everything. I went through every single domain, make sure it was parked where I wanted it parked, that it was priced where I wanted it priced. And it's literally the most important thing you can do. I know it's easily said, but I guarantee more people are not doing it than doing it. And so I did that. Adam worked well for me. Afternic worked well for me. I opened up LTOs. Kudos to Michael Seiger for maybe opening up a part of the portfolio. I wasn't really doing much under $8,000 in LTO. I figured they can afford it or not afford it. And I opened that up and bam, 2 of them went under LTOs. And so organization, getting my shit in order, getting things priced. When you say properly, that's harder to say than do, but just making sure that everything is at least priced in a good range, not too low. Watch which domains, try and hook up with people so you can see where there's action and activity, and make sure you price those and move those up with the times. Things are getting more expensive. Just doing all that led for me to doubling of sales of any other, well, I shouldn't say any other year, but I really had a great year and great margins, and that portfolio I've been building started selling. And it did help that the 5letter.coms have really gotten hot this year. I've sold quite a few, but I had a 5.5% sell-through rate, and I've never had 3%. Wow. So I almost doubled it. The one question I'll ask everybody here is, my LTOs hit today, like a lot of them. So both my Adams and my Afternics hit today. If I don't touch them and take them, is that going to roll to 2025?
Yeah. Don't take the money. I've got money spending in Afternic too.
Okay.
Yeah. Just don't take the money. You
leave them there.
Wait a day.
No, I don't need to take it. I'm just curious if it triggers the tax calendar by when you take it and pull it to the bank.
No. When it hits your account, that's when you book it.
Perfect.
Well, yeah. Does it matter though if you're on an accrual basis or a cash basis? From, I guess it depends on how you handle it from an accounting standpoint, right? Like, is that, and I think that's probably, yeah. I think that, okay.
Who's doing accrual here? Probably everybody's doing cash. Right?
Not everybody, you know what I'm saying? But I think
everybody's like, what?
But there's wait, what?
Hold on, there's a choice. These things. Exactly. Hold on, taxes. What are you talking
Billy's
about?
He's a big Elvis fan. He's like, don't be cruel. Don't be cruel. There's like a dad joke in there somewhere. But real quick, I think you make a really good point, Shane, and we saw some benefits in our own business. I think everybody could use just, housekeeping, right? We tried it when things get slow. That's some of what we use that time for. Hey, should slow down a bit. Let's tighten up our pricing. Let's make sure all of our stuff is where it needs to be. Without a doubt, when you have, hundreds, if not thousands of domain names, pricing them properly, making sure all of them are priced, making sure that all the pages are actually working, that, there's not some weird glitch going on with your, your landers or whatever it might be. I think is obviously is huge. You know, we saw some of the same thing where just by getting our shit together and just not being as sort of sloppy or lazy, you know, that was definitely helpful. So I think that's just good advice for everybody going into the new year. It's like just kind
I
of
mean, there's so much information there now. Even Afternic added some of the old pending sales. I throw a couple on traffic just to see what kind of traffic numbers I'm getting. There's some that I moved to parking and generated an extra $120 a month that I didn't have and did a double lander. I would say 100 names where the lander was on the wrong kind of Afternic lander that I didn't have organized properly. Like I wanted on a certain type, and it was sitting on the make offer where they have to go through a whole thing and fill out the information, go to a GoDaddy broker and go through that process. Some of them, maybe I don't want to do that. So there's just so much there, and it does take some time to do. And you get, like, every time we buy domains, we're buying domains daily. You get the price in. You just have to, and a lot of us aren't full-time people, so it's not like we have all day. We've got to work that into our schedule. So it's an important part, and I guarantee it will lead to more sales. 100% guarantee housekeeping will lead to more sales in the long term.
That's great advice. Jen, what about y'all? I know I'm not trying to wake you up, but I feel like, you know, you've come all this way to be at this party. You know what I'm saying? Like, you come the farthest.
Yes.
It's late.
It's very
late. Not to put you on the spot, but what's good?
Yeah, we're similar. Like if we do see things like slowing down or whatever, I mean, one thing we're constantly doing, we like, also because I code, but we can develop our own proprietary tools. And I guess at the moment we're up to about, including third-party portfolios that we manage, it's like 25 to 30,000 domains under management. So I have to build stuff to automate things and be able to manage that, because it's, I mean, my own personal portfolio is like very small. Like I probably only have about under 500 names, like myself. So they're easy to manage. But yeah, when it comes to the bigger portfolio stuff, it's really about building out these different tools so that I can, not go crazy. And then, I would say, like, with sales and stuff this year, we definitely did. And I think kind of have heard you guys say it as well, like, more getting into like some creative deals, and, you know, the lease to owns are getting like quite, I don't know about you guys, but, you know, when people are starting to, you know, when you've got equity in there and then you've got cash in there and then it's spread out over X amount of time, but then the broker only needs to be paid quarterly, but then the seller's going to be paid monthly. It's just, so that's the kind of fun stuff we're navigating. Hey, at least you guys have got a Jonathan. I need one.
I feel you.
Come help me.
Well, at least you have the skill to be able to build some of the tooling and stuff. Do you guys have anything that you've developed that does like pricing on names when you get like a big chunk of names, to throw sort of like some kind of baseline stuff on there?
No, I that's definitely something like we would love to do, but okay, we'll get into this. I just don't like any of the data points that are out there, because that's really what you have to pull from, like, whenever you're automating pricing. And then for us, like, obviously of like 20,000 something domain names, there's going to be a good portion of that, let's say 80 to 90% that are like mid to long tail. So on those kind of ones, there's always, like, I think, for the most part, sweet spots. And I remember when I managed Fabulous's portfolio for about, I don't know how long it was, years, it was similar with them. Like, once we found like a sweet spot in any of these like funnels, so, you know, GoDaddy or whatever you were using, you always find this like little sweet spot. And I remember back in the day when I had like 500,000 names to test it out on, it was like 4,400 and something. Like, it was this specific number at the time that we could like turn stock quickly through those places. Did you like miss out on some opportunities because you went down that route? Yes. But then you would also see some and you go, who would pay $4,000 for that domain name? So, yeah, I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. I've just been talking for too long. This is way too much talking for Jen.
No, it was good. Good job. But no, I feel you. And I think that's one of the things that, pricing is a challenge for us, trying to create something that's sort of, that can manage multiple names at a time, to put some baseline pricing on there. What are the data points that make a lot of sense? And we've messed around with a couple of different things, and how many CCTLDs is the domain registered in, and there's different stuff that's like, and
you've got your own data, which is good.
The problem we run into,
the
problem we run into, and I can say it because Drew's not on here, is that like, as much as Drew wants to automate it, he also wants to do all of it, right? So it's like, if the system does it, it's gonna kick out a certain number. If he doesn't agree with the number, well, then the system, but how do you refine it to where it's never wrong, right? And that's very, very hard. So
I don't know.
You can do that.
Well, that's what I mean. And Josh, you've helped us with pricing some stuff as well. Thank you, by the way. So we're
and it changes as well. It, like Shane said, like pricing is always going to change. And when I did work at Fabulous, some insight, there was literally one guy, and he was a data analyst. And all he did was sit there all day long and monitor the whole entire portfolio and pricing and trends. That was his whole job. That's all he did. And it was always just about finding those sweet spots. And then he would carve out parts of the portfolio that weren't going to be automatically priced or whatever. But yeah, I mean, that's a different scale. And it was always changing. So like when that pin would change from 4,400, whatever it was, eventually by the time I left there after 10 years, I think average price was closer to 6 of what they were turning over, and a portfolio of that size. I mean, you can go and look at all of they were publicly listed company, so they had to report most of their stuff.
I can add into this too. Darpan at Adam did really service to the community by showing the sale through rates based on pricing and how it really decreased from $49.95 to $5,000. And then in various. So there was a ton of incredible data, and even on the backside, they increase pricing based on IPs coming back and looking at it. So they say, hey, somebody's been looking at it a lot. They haven't pulled the trigger. We're going to actually we see a lot of people. So it shows that there's a lot of information. The people like the Name Brights or the Turn Commerces and the Adams, they have incredible information that if they share, really helps you pricing in a way that our portfolios aren't large enough to get that. So you should take advantage of any of that kind of information you get.
Well, you realize like data and that, and the flow of, it's an art and a science. We say this all the time about domains, right? It's an art and a science, right? So the more data that you have that's relevant, and this kind of goes to what you were saying, Jen, is that, finding the right data points is not easy. If you can, then there are definitely things that you can do that can help to lead to more sales for sure.
Data is so important. And if people are willing to give great information, don't dismiss it. Like nobody's smarter than anybody else. We might be better at certain things, but nobody's better than the person that has all that information. They're the smartest people in the room. When you have hundreds of thousands of sales and you've changed pricing and you've watched pricing change and you've seen how it's affected and what sells, you can never beat that. You can't beat that. There's no gut, as we talk about on, I think, who was it, Josh and I don't know. We were talking about gut pricing versus data. And sometimes you can't beat data. Sometimes you can, but not often. All right.
Combination.
Yeah, definite combination.
Yeah. So, I mean, all good stuff.
More great information with Josh and I's show on Spaces. We kind of expand Sherpa a little bit during the week on Wednesdays or Thursdays.
Yeah, no, I haven't tuned in yet, but I keep meaning to. And
no, Josh is smarter than he looks. He's got a lot of good information.
Dude, that's what I keep telling everybody.
You take the camera off of him.
They're like, wait, you mean the pickleball guy? No, I'm just playing.
We had some, I mean, like Michael Law was great. Styler was great. We had Todd at Dynadot, I think, opened up more than I've ever heard him open up. Like, he talked about everything personally. So when you get a camera off, people sometimes they open up a little more when they don't feel like talking.
100%, man. I mean, when we're on these Zoom sometimes, people just naturally feel like sort of, nervous or something because it's like, obviously your face and you're just like, you're looking at yourself. You're like, do I look okay? Does my lighting okay? All that stuff.
Yeah.
You start taking some of those boundaries away and it definitely, helps people get comfortable. But no, I think that's great. I think, look, domaining is the kind of thing where it's like you guys said, you even have to be prepared to adjust your pricing on not on a daily basis, but on a regular basis, just knowing what's going on in the market, what's going on in the world, right? As AI, has gone insane and all that stuff, and just being on top of your portfolio and not having, or a current event thing happens and you have a name that now all of a sudden, might sell for more money or something like that. Even when I used to run NameJet, we would watch the auctions closing. And when we were doing that on a regular basis, like you really had a kind of a feel of, on the pulse, a finger on the pulse of the space. And, and those are also different tranches and different buckets. And, that's the, on the investor side versus the retail side. I mean, there's just so much. And obviously the better access to data, the better, quick, efficient access to actionable data, the better. And sometimes easier said than done. And sometimes it's just like, hey, you just got to pay attention. And if you don't have the time, that either you find the time or you're going to not be as successful as maybe you could potentially be if you were on top of your stuff. But Braden,
I think another thing is like language evolves, and so we could have domains in our portfolio that we've had for 10 years, and it has a whole different meaning now than it did when we registered it. And there's a name that I'm selling right now. I've already got a deposit that has literally a whole new meaning today. I'll talk about it when the sale's done, but it has a whole new meaning today than it did when I bought it, which was early this year.
Yeah, right? That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, I know which name it is. And
it's a whole new meaning, right? So, which gave it a whole new value.
It's aweswhen
that's the trends you have to look for.
Or if like you're in my kids' world, all of a sudden skibbityriz.com is on all that bullshit, like the way these kids talk or whatever. It's like all of a sudden that stuff, like words that aren't even words now, have like or new brands and businesses, and coming to
JT, have you heard this one? My youngest said to me the other day, "I like your drip, Mom."
Oh,
and
yeah,
I'm like,
yeah.
What?
Oh, that's good. That's a compliment. You know what I'm saying? He's like, "I like your drip." Like, well, thank you. You're like, "I think yours is mid, son."
Yeah, mid.
Anyway,
is like a big one these days.
Yeah, well, that hat is drip, dog. You know what I'm saying? That pickleball hat.
All I know is the older fire. No, your drip is fire.
Yeah, all I know is the older I get, the further I get away from anything close to drip and close to cool. But hey, it's all good. All right, so. Well, that's what's up. Let's see. There are a couple of things I wanted to touch on as far as, we've gone around the horn. Josh, actually, I don't know that you chimed in at all about your 2024. I mean, do you have anything else to say about? I don't want you to feel left out.
Nah, all good, man. I for me personally, it was just pretty standard. Other than the fact that I did way more buying this year than ever before, so that makes it a little less profitable, I guess. Mm-hmm. Maybe not on paper, but certainly from like a mental standpoint, doesn't feel like the year that was that good, but that's purely because I just bought so many names. So hopefully next year and the years after we'll reap the reward for that. But I mean, I've been pretty involved for a while. I feel like investors go through these patterns, and it's important to kind of recognize what kind of year or what kind of a pattern that you're in. I remember kind of like 2-3 years ago, Braden was buying a ton of names. I helped Braden buy a ton of names, and I'm sure those years were probably pretty standard for him. And then eventually, if you're buying the right names and you're doing a good job in that category, 2, 3, 4, 5 years after is when you're going to start seeing the reward for that. And I know that Braden's having a phenomenal year, so he obviously bought a lot of good names.
It's my best year yet.
So would you attribute that, Braden, to, the fact, kind of to Josh's point, a couple of years ago, you had a year or two where you were buying, you got heavier on the buy side, and now you're seeing the sort of reaping the rewards of that, having picked and bought good names at good prices. And
so I changed up my strategy in that I let a lot of, I had that old legal portfolio, all my legal names. I let a lot of those go. I liquidated a ton of them. I have like my 500 left or something, from a high of like 15,000. And now my total portfolio is like 1,600, something like that.
Oh, wow.
So it's much, much smaller, but I've spent, millions building this portfolio, buying really good names. And so, this year I'm pushing about 7 million in sales this year. So it'll be slightly under because I'll book a couple for after since this stays 31st, I'll book some of them for tomorrow. For tomorrow.
Yeah, you won't accept that cash just yet.
So the thing is that the legal names just don't sell that fast, and so I just switched up my strategy to buy higher end premium names and just stuff that'll turn better. And we just had a name sell literally 10 minutes ago. While we were talking. Small name. But I'm just seeing a much better sell-through rate. And a lot of names that I'm selling, I've purchased over the last 3 years, particularly the big names.
Yeah, well, I think that's awesome. And I think that, we're at an interesting point where we, the cash we make from our business, we're either buying domains or buying Bitcoin, is kind of the approach. And Drew kind of goes, trying to, as we're trying to figure out, we've got 5,000 plus names, of which, the top half is definitely better than the bottom half, but, it's, a lot of sales. It's just, you got to just keep reloading the pipeline, but at the same time, you're going to end up in a situation where, it'll take, Drew probably wouldn't sell all those names in his lifetime. Right. So then what do you do? I think it's an interesting, and we have these sort of high level conversations about, approach and some of that also is dictated based on just his general thought on how he wants to sort of, how he wants his day to go. Right. But, so how much of that is going to be involved in brokering and selling and buying and all this kind of stuff. And, so I think it's interesting, Josh. To me, I think that, we just see domains continuing to be valuable. Right. And do you guys think with any, AI and some of the other stuff, I know we talked a lot about it in the beginning of the year, but now as we're entering into an entire year where we've seen AI revolutionize a lot of stuff, but really seen just almost more on the potential side than actual influence side up to this point. Right. How do you guys feel about that? Do you feel like domains, high value premium.com domains still, up to the right? Concerns around some of that based on anything you're seeing in the internet space or telecom or any of that kind of stuff, or, AI?
People that we've had this conversation, cyclically for years, the iPhone came out and the things went to apps, and then it was voice, and all of these are we concerned about the apps? Are we concerned about, voice, but it didn't affect the value. The names just domains continue to go up in value, and same thing's going to happen here, right? So will AI affect certain categories? Maybe there might be a few companies. We got new GTLDs that are out, and some companies might be like, you know what, we'll use an XYZ, or we'll use a .ai, and I've seen that. But at the same time, we've seen companies that raise a lot of money and want the .com, and eventually, when they get big enough, they switch to .com.
Yeah.
So, it's not affecting. And at the same time, you've got offline companies that know they need the premium.com. Almost every company eventually switches to .com. It's just a matter of their budget. Domains, I've always said, domains are budget driven.
Well, the .ai stuff is also interesting. Everybody knows where Drew stands, right? He feels like, hey, kind of the same point. Eventually, they'll come to the .com. The .ais have some value, but that eventually it's so ubiquitous that all companies will use AI to some degree. So calling it a .ai is just redundant at that point. But with that said, we're still seeing tons of AI sales happening, and I think we're seeing high value sales at a, and we say it all the time, you can make money on the buy, not on the sell at any domain, right? Any domain that you're going to buy. So the folks that got .ai's 5 years ago that, $2,000, $3,000, $5,000, $500, that kind of stuff. Are there still deals to be had in purchasing .ai domains? Like, is there still value? Is there still meat on that bone? Because we saw, what was it? James Booth just resold, was it girlfriend.ai? Is that the one that he just resold? We made a couple $100,000.
No, that was someone else. That was a
Was it girlfriend or boyfriend?
And Andy sold girlfriend, and then a Chinese investor sold boyfriend.
Got it. Well, but they were high value sales, right? I think they were
both in like the 200. Yeah. 200.
So, so clearly good one-word.ai domains. We're seeing it on the brokerage side. We've got clients that are asking for them. We've got clients trying to sell them, right? Some realistic, some not so much. It just depends on what they're trying to do and all that. And so it seems like there's demand there. It seems like sales are.
It's not that it's interesting because it's .ai though. It's interesting that people are willing to spend like serious sums of money on other extensions outside of .com. Like just today, you saw people.love sold for like 200 and something grand. Peoplelove.com probably is like a badly developed website, probably could have got acquired for like 10 grand. I don't know, less, who knows? So like, I think that this is the way that I see it. And I spend a lot of money on premium.coms this year. It's not that the getting your premium.com is becoming more important. I think it's actually less important than what it was. But that doesn't mean that they're less valuable, right? They can be less important and more valuable. Those things don't have to be parallel. So I think generally the value of your online presence is going up.
Mm-hmm.
So premium.com pricing also goes up, but the rest of the domain world pricing is also going up. So it's not just premium.coms. It's like obviously premium.ai's, premium.io's, premium. Just about any good SLD in a decent TLD will sell relatively well. So like the way that I look at it is like in my lifetime, is .com going to continue to be the most, is it going to continue to be completely dominant? I don't really know. Probably not. I kind of see it as probably not. I think that other extensions are taking some of that pie. But like I said, at the same time, that doesn't necessarily mean that .com values go down. I think that because they're scarce and because a certain amount of companies are going to continue to find them extremely valuable, the price continues to go up. So I think that you can be well diversified into multiple different TLDs and continue to find success for the foreseeable future. That's the way that I see it.
Yeah, I do. I think that's actually pretty awesome. And I love the way you phrased and framed a lot of that, because I would agree with you. I think it does speak to sort of the overall value, kind of the internet to begin with. And I agree. .ai is being valuable. These names that are sold, shows the value of the internet, and, your internet presence is sort of the leading piece of all of that. Who is the .love registry? Do you guys know offhand? I was trying to figure that out while you were talking, and I can't.
No idea. Like, so yeah, like, I mean, the .ai, the .ai love right now, all of the love for .ai is not because of the domain, not because of the TLD. It's because of the industry and how excited everyone is around AI.
It's doing what they always wanted the TLDs to do, and that's define the business that carries it, right? So if you're on AI, you're saying, look at me, I'm an AI company. And right now you couldn't be any hotter than being an AI company. So
right,
that's what they're using it for. I explained it and kind of dumbed it down. Kind of what Josh says is there's a lot of .coms that are in use and never going to be for sale. There's the same amount of people or more building businesses every year. They're just not going to get the .com. So the same amount of people are buying domains. So all those where they were going to go .com, they can't afford, they're going to move somewhere else. The SLDs are the most important. And now they're just going to find a new home. What that new home is, we're all trying to guess what the hottest one is. It going to be this or that or .love? We don't know, but we do know the SLDs or the keywords will probably be the most important. So that's how we play it as domain investors. We always start with the keyword, and then we look for a TLD that complements it. And that's a big, big open world. And there's a lot of choices. And that's what our decisions are on a daily basis now. We don't have to make decisions on com. Our decision is that a good value of a buy, and can we sell it for that purchase? After that, we spend a lot of time deciding on, is this TLD in the sea of TLDs combined with this keyword worth having and selling? That's what our new decisions are. There's a lot more decisions to be made. And that's where good conversation and good information comes, looking at the sales and catching trends of what's hot. Behind the scenes, we talk about it daily. Hey, I've had really good success sharing. I've sold 20 of these SLDs. Here's what I've sold them for. Here's how much renewals are. Renewals are a huge part, right? Renewals now on these other TLDs are $50, $30. You can't play the numbers game like you did in the past. So there's a lot of decisions to be made, but the keywords are always where we start and move from there.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great point. But all this dovetails a bit into, so Elliot literally posted yesterday that this year, 25% of his purchases in 2024 were actually non-coms, But with that said, they still only make up 10% or less of his overall portfolio, and he's still very much a .com guy, and rightfully so. But yeah, I think it is interesting, and I think that I really like the way Josh, the way you were kind of framing it, in that it speaks, the fact that these other extensions are, there are big sales around this stuff, speaks to the value of your internet presence, period. And some of it is next best alternative, some of it is exactly what you're doing, and then tying it to what Shane said, which is left of the dot is obviously going to drive a lot of that value, regardless of right at the dot, com still being king. So, yeah. So I guess we shall see. But I've definitely been impressed with a lot of the AI sales to recognize, or the .ai sales, recognizing that those domains are there. There's demand now. Whether that demand continues, whether it's sort of a bubble versus just, hey, this is some new normal. I think the price of everything continues to go up. Right. And we see that across, you go to the supermarket, right? Let alone like domain names and other things and other services. So, it's definitely not getting any cheaper to establish, the proper presence online. So, all right, cool. All good stuff. All right.
Once a TLD establishes some sort of, mass adoption, have we ever seen the TLD become completely, worthless? Is there
move the other direction? No.
Is there any example of that? I don't think so. I think there are a lot of TLDs that were like trying to make it, that were you think of like the .ag or .ly, or those that they didn't really establish like mass adoption, like a .io, .co, .ai. But like once they establish significant adoption, we've never seen them go away.
No.
So,
but you do see like .io is probably taking a little steam out of there, because tech has adopted other ones besides .io. Because XYZ, XYZ,
you're still seeing $200,000 .io sale a month ago, and plenty of other six-figure .io sales. So it's like, are they going to have like up and down years based on other trends? Absolutely. But if you're invested in the top SLDs for .co, .net, .org, .io, .co, you're good. Like you're for sure good.
I would think all of us would agree that our first searches are com, io, co. That's probably an XYZ, right? Those are probably the 4 we put through on every one right out of the gate, and then we add more accordingly. Would you agree with that, Josh, Braden? Co, XYZ, IO, com?
Yeah, not in that order, but
No, not in that order. Net, especially
Net
Braden.
and org. Like, yeah, for me, there's the key ones that I buy is IO, Co, AI, org, net, XYZ.
And I was going to say AI is in the conversation. I mean, we see it
that
now,
was my fault. AI is definitely there.
You know, that's my point, right? I think AI is taking a bigger piece of the conversation, continues to chug along in a real positive way, which I think is really, really interesting and pretty cool. You know, we don't have a ton of AIs. We have a handful in our own portfolio. You know, again, helping clients on both the sell and buy side for .ai domains. And it's not a super foreign, like, you know, like we have clients that want the .com. We look to see who has it. Hey, the .com is not going to be gettable for less than, you know, maybe a multi-7-figure type of price tag, right? And it's like, all right, well, what are the other alternatives? Are you choosing a new keyword altogether? If you're married to a certain keyword, now you're looking at different alternate extensions. And the ones that you're looking at, you know, .net is not really, we don't talk a whole lot about .net. You know, we're definitely, AI comes up way more than .net.
I do.
AI is going to absolutely crush it for the next couple of years. It's going to crush it. And like this year, I think this year is actually not that big of a year. Next year for AI is going to be much, much bigger. And like I said, it's nothing to do with the fact that it's nothing to do with like, oh, .ai is a cool. It's just to do with the fact that the AI industry is absolutely booming and it hasn't even hit its peak yet. And you're going to see, and there's just so much money there, right? When you look at the number of companies that are getting funded, I can't remember what percentage of them are AI, but it's like 9 out of 10. It's like ridiculous.
One third of all VC funding in 24 went to AI companies.
Yeah.
So yeah,
that's significant.
That's significant. You're gonna see lots of big sales. I would assume that you'll probably see a 7-figure .ai sale next year.
All right, so there we go. We've got a prediction for 2025. We've got a prediction, a 7-figure .ai sale happening in 2025. Called it right here on Domain.
There's probably been a .ai 7-figure sale. We just don't know about it.
That's a fair point. Yeah.
I was talking to a guy whose company's called Spinach, and he wanted spinach.com. Which is mine, and he wanted to spend, and I have a price at like high 6 figures, and he didn't want to spend that, and he bought Spinach.ai.
Yeah. Is he a sale?
You know what? If he continues to do well, it's probably going to come back.
Does he have very big forearms? Is his girlfriend named Olive Oil? You know,
is he called?
You always got to make sure.
Yeah, what's his name? Popeye.
Exactly. Thank you.
MediaOptions is the industry's leading domain broker specializing in domain acquisitions, high-value domain sales, and domain name consultation. As pioneers and thought leaders on the subject of the domain aftermarket and domain name value, plus through their clear domain acquisition service, MediaOptions offers startups and established corporations an unparalleled scope of high-value domain options, providing access to domain names and curation technologies not available elsewhere. MediaOptions believes in the power of a great domain name and is dedicated to helping you obtain yours. Call or email today to put a domain to work for you.
All right, cool. All right, well, with that, we got a NameJet list. We can spend about 10, 15 minutes on it, and then we'll shut it down. We'll talk a little bit. I want to talk about the ICA and a few other things that are happening in the new year. But real quick, you know, we've got a list. This sponsored by NameJet. Big shout out to them. A lot of love for NameJet. We got some domains that are coming up for auction. We'll see really quick what the Sherpas like, what they don't like. Oh, Shane, always, man, always bringing the branding, dude.
Anybody, you know I mean, they give the love, I give it back.
Dude, they were, you know, they've wanted to drop us a number of times, but every time they're like, but Shane wore the shirt. They've
sponsored me for 15 years, and I don't mind saying it, man. From day one out of the gate, I am only here because of NameJet, so I'll wear this shirt. You gave me the shirt, ironically.
Yeah, NameJetGonnaJet, baby. You know what I'm saying? I remember when we first came up with that, everyone was like, what is it?
The difference is his arm barely fits in it because I'm on the Braden workout, protein, you know, vegan.
We talking Popeye. We talking about spinach, man. Y'all looking like Popeye out here at the end of 2024.
Plant protein, baby.
Oh. You know, and anyway, so
you guys get that real protein, none of that plant protein stuff.
It's so funny.
Josh is on
off the record. Braden and I actually talk about protein probably too much because we've been sharing like creatine brands and protein brands, trying to find the right kind.
Hey, well, creatine's a whole, that's a whole different conversation. And
but I mean, it is funny that like
folks on her
we talk domains
some of that too.
20% of the time, and the other 80% are like, what kind of creatine powder? Take a picture so I know what to use. And have you tried this plant protein? A buddy of mine uses it, and he's 6 foot 1% body fat. It's so funny.
Y'all got goals.
Yeah, that's why we're eating your ass, because it's tender.
What are you doing?
That's why we're eating you. You don't have any protein powder in you.
He'd be like eating a Snickers. He like literally was like, I don't want to eat JT because he's not healthy enough. You know what I'm saying? That was basically what he said, which is so messed up.
Maybe he just
work out every day.
Really sweet.
You know like, yo, I still play hoops with the young kids. Like, it's not easy.
Right. Hey, Billy, I think you should take out little snippets. So like when Shane said, that's why I'm not eating your ass, you could take out those little.
It could be a little bit.
You could have a field day, just like this B-roll of like just these little.
If it brings in more viewers, I don't care. That's fine.
Hey, well, I will say that, so look, and this is 2024 was also a very good year for DomainSherpa, largely in part to, the work that Billy has done in continuing to really push it. A lot of help from a lot of the folks. Jen has always been a huge help with a lot of stuff on the show. We continue to increase our numbers, our viewer numbers, like every show. I mean, we get thousands of views and watches, and so we've got so much love for the audience and for all the people who help continuing to serve our audience by providing good content, entertainment. We're always trying to educate and entertain, and and it's and you guys being on the show, providing this kind of content, helping the space, and all the work that goes on behind the scenes, Billy and team, and it's pretty awesome. So thank you to all of you for being on the show. Obviously, Billy, thank you so much. Jen, thank you so much. Always. So anyway, not to get too far down that whole, like, the rabbit
I'm gonna
hole.
do it again. I'm gonna do it again since no one else is doing it. Jonathan, I think we all should like credit where credit's due, because I think this gig is pretty difficult now that I've had my own little taste of it. So massive respect for you guys, like showing up every single week and doing this. It's like, if people really knew like all of the effort and time that goes into scheduling and editing and publishing and promoting, and people may be like, oh, it's just a community podcast, but there's a lot of time and effort that goes into it. And I know that you spearhead that, and you've already got so much on your plate. So I think we all need to do a JT appreciation clap.
Oh, go ahead. Come on. Go ahead. I'll take it. No, but I appreciate that. And again, it would not be possible though if you guys weren't always willing to jump on and help us with this and be part of this and provide the kind of content that gets people to tune in. And people really invested. They really like it, and as they should, because it's I think we genuinely all like each other. You guys are a lot of expertise, a lot of success here that you're willing to share, sometimes even at our own detriment, which I always find super interesting. But it's all part of it. So anyway, so all good stuff, a lot of gratitude, a lot of appreciation. So, all right. So real quick, we got the list. If you go to the NameJet site, you can pull it up. Not the NameJet site. I'm sorry. Go to the DomainSherpa page for this episode. You can pull the NameJet list. You'll see all the names along with Esterbot appraisals, how many back orders when we recorded the show, when you need to get your back order in to make sure that you can follow the auction fully and all that good stuff. So, let's kind of run through everybody, talk about 2-3 domains, and then we'll get to the grand closing here, and then we'll get ready to move on into the new year. So who would like to go ahead and take the first crack at the list?
I can.
All right, well.
Let's pull it up. Crusader. I mean, that's the obvious one.
Of course. Yeah.
Which,
Isn't that such a great name?
You think you're going to bid on that and buy it. Just saying.
What do you think that's going to go for on NameJet?
Too much.
I mean, it's an awesome name, right? Like, it's just, it's singular. It's a killer brand. It's super, like, kind of, I mean, cool. I guess that if you really want to go down a rabbit hole of like, oh, the Crusades, and, you want to go that far down. But I think like one of my older son's about to go into high school. They're the Crusaders, at least the school that he wants to go to.
Go on then. I'm interested to hear what you guys think it's going to go for.
Yeah.
Come on.
No, I'm not done talking about what I think is a good name.
No, this we'll come back to it. Surely, this is a great topic. I'd love to know.
Sorry, I know I have a tendency to do that. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Keep going. Well, you mentioned the name. I want to dive into it.
Let's dive into it. Let's do it, JT.
Oh, Braden wants to keep talking. He wants.
But
to
then Braden,
I think. Look, it depends who jumps in. If we don't get a bunch of heavy hitters that jump in, it's going to be mid 5 figures. If some of the big swing and D's jump in, then it's going to go low 6 or go over 100. So it just depends who wants to play this one.
Josh, what do you think?
Definitely a good name. Josh,
I'll go last.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'll put 50 grand in it. Like I had that on my 50 grand bid list out of the gate, and if I'm going 50 grand on it, that it's definitely worth more. So, because I will admit, I put 250 grand cash for 2025 to put into domain names. I've already started looking. I bought three letter.coms over the last couple months, just because it was a store of value and there's some good value. I talked with Braden and Josh on a couple that I was looking at, but that's the kind of name that just doesn't come up very often at auction, right? Like it's just don't see that on NameJet anymore. If it makes it all the way through, I'd even be surprised if it doesn't get renewed. I don't know how far out it is. My guess, it doesn't even go to auction. I bet it gets sniped before it even makes it to the final. So I don't even get too excited when I see that because of that. But yeah, if anybody of any importance plays, that's going for over 100 in my opinion. Leave it to Josh. Jen.
Yeah, that was definitely my pick as well, which I knew we'd all pick that one.
No, I know, but Braden's not done on the names. He just what we're asking is how much you think it sells for at NameJet?
No, I know, but I don't know. Yeah, I think it'll be silly. I think it even though it's a great name and I really really like it, I don't know I think it's going to land in between that high 5s, 75-ish plus possibly. It will depend on who's got their eye on it. And I mean, and look, to be honest, if you could get it in the 5s, I still think that's a good buy. That's my opinion.
Okay. All right, Josh.
I kind of disagree with all of it.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah. All right. So
I think that if it goes for more than 35 to 40, you're like massively overpaying. I don't think the stats are great, although they're okay, which is why I think that paying like 25 to 30 is probably about right.
Mm-hmm.
It's not really developed in any TLDs. .NET is available, .org is available, .io is available.
Not good.
It's not as good as maybe first impressions would believe.
All right, well that's great.
Does it have any TMs on it at all? Has anyone?
I'm sure it's got some. I'm sure it's got some TMs.
It would.
I would. So me personally, I wouldn't pay more than 20 grand for it. But I do think that you get Rick maybe jumps in because he likes it, and a couple of others who jump in because they like it, and yeah, I mean it could go to 50 grand plus. But in my opinion, that would be a massive overpay.
That's awesome. Well, hey,
and if you're planning on paying that much, you should contact me and I'll help you buy names.
That's it. Well, Shane's already in touch with you. Shane, you guys are already on.
Yeah, I mean, I think a huge point is how many are in use, right? Like if there's 12 other options that they can buy besides .com, it's a killer. It's a killer. Now, if you own all the other ones, and that's a different story. But
could go on a crusade and go buy them all up.
Well,
it is. So I will say this: it's a very unique name in that Crusader.com is much better than Crusade. In this particular instance. So
in the plural, I mean, I think it's clearly like a brand, right? It's just is an empty vessel in a lot of ways, just waiting for his company or something to step into it. I think it's a great name. I'm with you. I think it's, to me, I could see it in the 40 to 50 range on NameJet. Because then it's a question of, all right, what are you trying to get for it, right? You're trying to get 300, 400, 500. I mean, at some point, if you're paying, and you start getting up to 100K or more, now you're getting into end user pricing territory, or where best case scenario, you're going to 2-3x maybe, your purchase without knowing for sure and without having a target for it. That could be sitting on that name for a long time. But it is a fantastic.
I really hope that it goes to auction. I would be.
Well, and I think there's also a little bit of something here where it's a great domain, and you don't see really great killer one-word.coms that show up on the NameJet list, so it stands out like it's like the tallest,
For sure. There's a lot of people in the space that only buy their domains at auction. They will only buy their domains at auction, and you don't see good names like this at auction very often, which is why you end up seeing people pay a lot of money at auction for these domains, despite the fact that, there are better deals out there that are to be had if you take the time to hunt for them, or
and I think this one still has a few weeks. So I think that, and the question about it being sniped, I mean, I don't know, different platforms treat it differently as far as, what they do. I know that when, the registrar is typically the concern is that whoever is the actual registrant is just going to renew it, right? That's like, it's still in that window where it's renewable, and people with a really good name will reach out, like Elliot will actually even reach out to a domain owner and be like, hey, your name's on NameJet if you haven't seen it. Like, Elliot, no. But good on
the guy, and who is this public, and the guy's business, he's out of business. But somebody's going to reach out to him. But I just looked up the stats as Josh did, and the stats are not that good. So the net and the org are both for sale for $8,000 each. The IO for $7,000. When the net and when the ComNet and org aren't in use, I mean, that just shows that from like a legacy perspective, it's just not a popular keyword.
Yeah. And I'll have to disclose, I only was talking it up because I work for NameJet, and they told me to make it so expensive.
No, man. I mean, hey, I think this is a really great discussion on this one name. That's why I'm glad we dug in.
When the net and the org aren't developed, right? So we're now not talking about all the new GTLDs and the CCTLDs, but we're talking about going back 30 years, 35 years, where companies weren't interested in that term, right? So there's not a lot of companies. There's a few hundred companies with that in their name, but if the ComNet and org aren't developed, that means for years nobody really cared. So even the new Gs don't matter. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And the IOs for sale for $7,000, and then the others aren't developed at all. So it's just not a good term. On its face, it looks like a great word, but for whatever reason,
this goes back to the whole thing Shane said before when we talk about domain values into the future, and how left of the dot, obviously is going to drive the ship for a lot of the deals and domains. The right of the dot has to correlate, obviously com being the best, but then for these other alternatives. But if nobody cares, then it's like, yeah, I think you're right. I think there might be a little bit more flash here than, and it was, but again, I think it stands out because it's such a great name in a collection of names that aren't always that great,
and that's how I spend too much at auction right there. You just witnessed it. I get excited. You got to step back and look at the information. I do it all. We talked privately the other day about a name, and I was like, every single TLD is for sale, and they said it's still a great name, and I said it is still a great name. It's just not as great a name as everything else was taken, and this was your last choice.
Well, that's what I actually said. How many GTLDs is a domain taken in is one of those stats that we try to leverage when we're pricing or valuing or evaluating domains. I mean, that's one of those things that is an actual data point that you can use, to pull into, and we do with some of the tooling that we have to try to figure out how, what the demand for a domain looks like.
But a lot of people look at how many TLDs the name is registered in and stop there, and that's just not good. So Crusader's registered in everything, right? I haven't looked it up, but I'm sure there's a ton, but they're not developed, right? Yeah. So what good is it if you've got if everything's registered, but no company is developed? If no company's developed it, that means that it's just a bunch of investors that think it's a good name, but no company wants to use that in their name, number one. And there's no company that is going to upgrade to that name.
Yeah.
Right.
That's great points.
So those are bad data points. It's not good that a whole bunch of investors have registered it. Or the other thing is you could have, the name registered in 50 or 70 TLDs and it's all owned by one person, one company.
Yeah.
And if that company doesn't want your name, they're out. Then who's going to buy it? Nobody. Yep. So it's just one data point, but you have to dig down a little bit more and look at what's actually happening with those names, not just that they're registered.
Yeah. No, I think that's all good stuff. And this is why I'm glad. Thank you, Josh, for pulling this a little bit. So we dug in, pulling the string some. I like that. And then that's some great insight. All right. So let's we'll do a little bit more of a speed round through the rest. But go ahead, Braden, finish up what you were thinking by way of any other names on the list.
Let me get back to that list. TJ.net. I mean, I like these two-letter .nets. They just I don't see anybody using them, honestly. I mean, I buy them and then just sit on them and look at them and enjoy owning them.
They look nice.
Never sell them.
They look cool.
I don't know why.
Portfolio.
I feel like one day maybe companies will start using two-letter .nets, but so far it hasn't happened.
Okay. All right, one more. Either or not like. On one more name.
I don't like Paint It. Paint It? It's not that great. The others are fun. I'll let other people talk about them, but nothing else. I mean, the others are decent, but it's not the kind of names that I invest in. So I'll let somebody else talk about them.
Not anymore. You know what I'm saying? Now that you got that banging portfolio, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's it. We off that. I'm off them cheap names. Jen, what do you think?
These are brandables. Two-word brandables.
Yeah, obviously Crusader. I do still like it beyond the data points. I think it would still be a good hold, but it would probably be a longer one. But just looking at Crunchbase, there's a ton of companies called that. LinkedIn, there's a ton of, and yeah, I know the other TLDs aren't being used, but in my experience, there's a possibility that those people just haven't been pitched to, don't understand domains. So sometimes it is worth just doing the outbound activity to better understand that space. I don't mind. I don't know how you would pronounce it. Is it Huba, HUBA.com? I just had a quick look. That one's got, they've got their Instagram's got over 100,000 followers. The first result on Google, they don't go by that. They've got I don't know what they were called. But that one seems okay. I don't know if this is going to be a controversial one that you want to talk about or not, this topic. But I'd be interested to know what you guys think either way, if you want to keep it in or not. I don't really like island girls. The reason why I don't like that, I avoid girls and boys or girl or boy names, unless they're singular, because you kind of do get into some murky waters with those types of names that I've experienced in the past.
Yeah, well, it's funny because the Island Girls thing, I thought that too. I'm like, oh, it's borderline risque, I guess, But then you also have the Island Boys. Remember those guys?
Right, yeah,
Island Boy.
Yeah.
Trying to, those guys who turned out to be pretty.
Yeah, but
amazing.
who do you think's searching for Island Girls on the internet, Jonathan? What do you think they're looking
Island
for?
Boys, you know what I'm saying?
Brayden, put your hand down.
You know what I'm saying? It's no, I'm with you. That one's a little bit but I mean, yes, I guess it's
an island girl, right?
Officially.
Well,
you know what I'm saying?
I do live on an island, and yes, I am a girl. But
just an island girl trying to make it.
Stop.
Anyway, no, I'm with you. It's good stuff. Happy New Year. All right, let's keep it moving. All right, Shane or Josh, one of you guys jump in. What's good?
Go on, Shane. Let you go.
I don't like this list as much as some in the past. Easy is a CVC, the Huba. That's a good one. Like a good one's sparkling water. Obviously, one of the biggest categories in the whole world, right? You just can't get bigger than that.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't build a brand on a generic either. Like,
Yeah.
it's not even good for marketing. Like, sometimes you can get a name that's generic that works well in marketing that brings you to sparkling water. It just actually dumbs down your product, and you've gone from like, I'm super duper water with X and Y, and then your category is sparkling water.
Yeah,
So,
I'm Liquid Death, right? Which
Yeah.
is a perfect example of a bottled sparkling water company that
officially it
exploded
is
through
sparkling water, right?
cool branding, which gave it gave it just a vibe, and then their sales have gone nuts. And I mean, there's already the Harvard Business Review type
Yeah, it's a case study in marketing of a product. But you will have, this is a perfect example. Someone say, hey dude, I got sparklingwater.com. And you're like, I hate it. It's a $1 trillion category and everything. You don't think that? Yeah, it is, but this isn't going to help me make any money from it. So
yeah,
that's the kind of name that I run right past.
Yeah.
I think DataScript is interesting just because I know that's a huge category as well, and it's kind of a brandable. Like, if you can get that cheap enough, I think there's some value in able to turn there. I haven't done any research on it, but I just think data is everything. There's nothing more valuable than data right now. Just nothing. Every conversation I have, who owns it, whoever is the voice, the holder, it's huge. I had a meeting with some people from mathematics from in our town. Have you heard of Wolfram Alpha? They're a mathematics company. They're a data company, but it's math based. They just have so much information and data. They're just gonna kill it. Like, even if they're not selling anything now, I'm like, you're gonna sell plenty. So.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, look, Dad, we've said it for years about Facebook. It's a perfect example for a situation like that, where it's like, hey, look, if the service doesn't cost you anything, you're the product, right?
Yeah.
Like, and so data is king. This goes back to even what we've said. This is a theme that has played out through just the course of this show, talking about everything from managing, pricing a portfolio to selecting a name in auction. It's like, the more data that you have, it's a line from the Sherlock Holmes movie with Robert Downey Jr. that I love, which is data, data, data. I can't make jars without clay. And that is a perfect example. So, I think to that point, there's also value in the domain. So I would agree with you.
Yeah. So yeah, anything that has something to do with that, or the ability to manage that and bring it in usable form on a consumer facing front, is of value. Then there's names like Grillcraft that mean nothing, but we know that sounds like something you would buy at Home Depot, and bought your mother a Grillcraft grill that's got 7,000 pieces presents. And you didn't.
But hold on, before you name any more names,
together.
I'm with you. We're about to name more names, and I want to give it to Josh.
No, there's nothing left to name. Everything else is junk. No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead, Josh.
Josh, is there anything else on the list that's worth thinking about talking about?
I'll give you another trick that has never been talked about before, but but is useful.
Sitting up.
So when you're trying to assess like an SLD like Crusader, another thing that you can do is put get in front of it or go in front of it. And if it is available to hand register, that is a red flag. That is a big red flag. Mm-hmm. And if you look at your best domains, doesn't matter if it's Cluck or Pineapple or, whatever it might be, I guarantee you that get X or go X, they're taken. They're at least taken. And if you look at Crusader and look at Go Crusader, Get Crusader, available for hand registration. Ooh. And it's because there's not enough demand for that XLD. So there's a little hint.
I love it, man. That's the alpha right there. That's the alpha coming to you just in time for you to kill it in 2025, everybody. Credit to Josh. Thank you for that.
Anyway, so I actually think this list is super legit compared to a lot of the lists that I've seen in the past. I don't like boldlygo.com. I'm not sure about that one.
Boldly go where no man has gone before, right? Isn't that like boldly go, son?
It's more of like a qualifier, right? It needs more to it.
Yeah, how about that?
But
How about pain tit?
Pain tit.
I'm actually
terrible. That's not.
I actually like that as well. I would put all the rest of the names in my portfolio. I think the name that is gonna be the best value buy is gonna be Huber.com. If you can get that under 15, probably a good purchase. iPop is actually a good name as well. Again, like usage on both of those are decent, but they don't need to be as good as like a name like Crusader, because like we were talking about, Crusader is the standout. It's gonna go for a lot of money. The value ratio is not right, in my opinion. But the value ratio for Huber is gonna be better. Unless it starts going up into that 20 range, and at that point, avoid. Yeah, I mean, like I agree with Shane, sparklingwater.com. I mean, it's a kind of name that just sits in your portfolio. You think it's valuable, but it's not. But at the same time, like if you can get it for a decent price, and then you can price it at a decent price, I would put it in. I just probably wouldn't spend more than like $1,000 on it, or like 1,500, and it would probably go for a lot more than that. And even then, like even at $1,000, I wouldn't like love having it in my portfolio, because you're just not going to get any inquiries on it. It's like one of those names that if someone's interested in it, you could probably sell it for a decent sum, but you're going to get like one inquiry every 5 years. So yeah, I'm not that fond of Wine Wizard. I don't feel like wine names actually do that well. It's just an industry that doesn't seem to get much adoption from like a domain standpoint.
Okay.
But yeah,
you think there's still value in iNames, iPop?
Yeah, I think there's value in iPop. I mean, it's just a good VCVC as well. There's, just do like a little bit of research. You can see that it's not for sale in any of the major extensions, which is nice. But at the same time, it is taken in 100 TLDs. So that's like already pretty solid. You type in iPop into Google, and you can see there's a pretty like decent amount and wide variety of end users. So like, do I like love it? Would I spend 20 grand on it? No, but if you can get it for, under 10, I think it's a decent buy.
Yeah, and I think here's the deal about iPop, which I think is interesting. When you Google it and you realize that it also can stand for inpatient, outpatient, right? Like there's other things well beyond the whole I, and the fact that it's a 4-character, which are just killing it. I mean, there's a lot of interesting stuff with that. Plus, you've got, there's a pop industry entertainment piece to it. There's also a soda thing, with all the new sodas that are coming out. There's all these like alternative versions of, Coke that, healthy, prebiotic, this and that, no low sugar, this, so I think that
on the first page of Google, I get a company called iPop.fun. And it's
pickleball.
Inclusive place of pickleball.
Inclusive place of pickleball. That might be your joint, dude. Where is it at? Where's the nearest one? iPop.fun, baby. You know what I'm saying? They're about to upgrade. Let's go.
They were using pump.fun, and they were like, we like this TLD.
Yeah, exactly right. Oh, and there's a whole lot of different stuff. So I think that's an interesting one for sure. And but yeah, and look, I think another theme through the whole thing is you mentioned now, Josh, is saying that hey, you put all these in your portfolio for the right price, and because and there's and the right price being key, because then it's a matter of like what's the multiple, and that's what we talked about a little bit with Crusader, which is look, if it's going to cost you 90 grand to buy Crusader.com. Then how long is it going to take you to sell it for 600,000 to justify paying that kind of money? And how long do you want to tie up that much cash into a domain? Ben said it. I mean, you're going to hold it for a while, so potentially. So, so you make the money on the buy, and eventually then on the sell. That's why I also think it's interesting. You talk about Braden several years ago putting more effort into building the portfolio, changing sort of the way the portfolio looks. Josh, you having a big year buying domains, even Shane now having a big year buying domains. Seems to be a theme, that seems to be 2024 is a year of loading up. And I think that's awesome. So
yeah, and I'll say this, like, I think that everyone here is overpaid for domains at some point. I've overpaid massively for some domains. And I think it's all a learning curve, and the more you do it, the more you kind of like get in tune with what's right and what's wrong.
And the more you do it, overpaying isn't it's how you overpay for a name that has no value. It's one thing, right? But and how much are you overpaying, right? It's like, I should have got that name for 40 grand, but I bought it for 60. I still sold it for 600. It's all good, So anyway,
everybody at the auction who you outbid too thought you overpaid.
Yeah,
exactly.
Also, I would say that it's relative to your time horizon. So you might have overpaid today, but in 5 years you hadn't overpaid, right? Or 10 years. Because everything I sold for retail 10 years ago, I'd buy back today.
That's what I think is really, and that's what I think is interesting. It's like, it's hard to, it's not that it's hard to lose, but it's easier to win when price keeps going up, so it's like, and I think that's kind of goes back to what we were touching on early in the show about, what is the future of domains, right? Are they going to continue to appreciate in value? Everything's appreciating value. Digital assets, anything, internet related, like there's continued, the cost of a brick keeps going up, price of a brick keeps going up, and, makes it easy to be successful if you can't, like idiot proof it to some degree. But it's, again, the more that you have a pulse of what's going on, makes it, easier to make better decisions. I think that all kind of plays into it. And part of why we try to give all the expertise to the audience that we can, because you guys have been doing this for so long, and there are very few people in the world that are at your level, which is why it's very appreciated. So with that, let's do a quick round the horn, because I think we're pretty much up on time. I said this was going to be a quick show, and Jen's like, you promised this was going to be quick. This is a bullshit. 2025 is taking forever. So Jen, let's start with that. I want to give everybody a minute or two. If there's anything you want to mention, talk about, anything you're excited about, ICA, travel, domains, or otherwise, the floor is yours. What's up?
Yeah, I am definitely, I'm excited to do some travel this year, because I'm in this year, guys.
Yeah, I love it. Let's go.
Yeah. I'll be in Vegas for ICA, and then I'm going to Bali later in the year, and then I got a few retreats and different things, and so that'll be fun. But yeah, it's just domains, and somehow 10 with Jen's still going, so that's going to keep going. But apart from that, I'm just waiting for the aliens to come and like take me somewhere. Like, I'm ready. Let's go.
We're going somewhere good.
Anywhere.
No doubt.
No.
Exactly. I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
What's up?
Beam me up.
All right. No doubt. All right, Braden, what about you?
I'm looking forward to the conferences. So ICA, and then we're rolling right into the D3 conference, Dominion.
Yeah,
they're back to back. So I'll be in Vegas for a week, which I think is probably the longest I've ever been in Vegas. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Yeah, I know. Vegas is just the energy when you get there. It's like, it's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't used to be a lot when I was younger. It used to be just fun. Now it's a lot.
It's like you got to gear up for it. Yeah, but that's what's up. Well, hey, and the ICA.
So that's it. And then
great.
And then it's just a flurry of sales happening. I mean, literally, there was a sale happened just now, and there might be some other deals closing today, because like there's emails happening. People want to get their deals in at the end of the year, so everybody wants to spend their profits for the year closing. So good for us. That's what's happening. Happy New Year.
That's awesome. But yeah, Happy New Year, man. Congratulations on a great 2024. Excited for 2025 for sure. Shane.
For sure.
Yeah, so I've got big things coming in 25. I formed botany.com. I took the domain name and made it into a company, and I'm going to the Chelsea Garden Show. I'm going to, like, all January, I'll be going to garden shows across the nation. I'll be going to ICA in Vegas. I'm coming in a little late because I'm also going to Dominion with D3, going to talk a little blockchain and DomainFi there. Yeah, I have just as much travel this year, but I'm going to see the bulbs. Like, I'm doing all the plant things and talking about plants I've always wanted to go see the bulbs in the Netherlands when they're in full bloom. I'm just literally traveling the world to see plants and flowers that I didn't get to do. I was always selling you them, and going to talk about it in social media. Just have some fun with it. Doing more. I got a PBS show I'm working with them on too. So being a correspondent for PBS Garden. So awesome. I'm going to continue doing the plant stuff more actively. I got to get my cadence back though. Like, I'm so used to being slow, and so I've got to get my voice back when it comes to gardening. But yeah, 25 is going to be domains and flowers for me. And hopefully I can do something. It's going to take a while to build that company, but I'm going to China to go see all the products too. That's the other thing. I had no idea there was a 4-week show of companies that just lay their stuff out for everybody to look at and build. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen. But yeah, it's going to be exciting and busy. It's going to be fun.
So. You said the show is 4 weeks?
4 weeks, 2 weeks to like electronics and 2 weeks to home goods. And there's like 100 million products out. And you think that your stuff's not made there, but it's all made there. It may have American name, like the point of origin. Matter of fact, I met a company that changes, that's a middleman. So the point of origin, when you go to Shopify and all these other people, you don't see what the true point of origin of all your product is. So, but anyway, that's for another thing. But yeah, it's gonna be fun. I'm ready to get my green thumb, and I'm ready to sell a shit ton of domains and have a fun, exciting time. This is all about having fun and making stories, right? That's what it's all about.
I love it, man. Well, the green thumb in domains, the green is for cash. You know what I'm saying? So it's the you want to have that continued green thumb. I love it. All right, Billy, what about you, man?
Also excited about ICA. I'll be out there representing DomainSherpa and MediaOptions, helping them out the AV once again. So looking forward to seeing all y'all in Las Vegas. Outside of that, just plugging away like normal. 2025.
Let's get it. All right, cool. Josh.
Yeah, just continuing with all things domains. Going to be spending a lot of time on DNX, which should be live in the next couple of days. It's all pretty much done. It's on a test site right now, and we've integrated Cedo and Atom, and it looks pretty fire.
It looks great. I played with it.
Yeah, thanks.
There's a little outtake or a little snippet. Looks great. I played with it.
Yeah. So some beta users have given us a little bit of feedback on it, and just ironing out some bugs. And I'm pretty excited about that. I'm pretty excited about some of the things that I want to do with it as the year progresses. But yeah, other than that, same old thing. I had a really good 2024 in a lot of ways, not necessarily from a monetary perspective, although, I can't complain. But I felt better this year health-wise than I have that probably ever that I can remember. And just have a pretty positive outlook on everything. So hopefully that transcends into domains as well.
Josh, that was so low key that even when he's like, yes, I'm just
feeling Josh in 2025.
I'm feeling really great. It's just been an amazing year. I'm excited. I'm so happy to be here. You know what I'm saying, dude? It's like, I love it though. I love it. But I think those are all and look, and those are great things to think about. I think as I get older, the thing I'm continuously reminded of is how much health matters, right? And it's like, you spend so much time caught up. We're online all the time. We're focusing so much on money and making money and selling this and buying that and this, that, and the other. And and consuming, and it's overwhelming at times, and you can lose sight of some things, and then stuff will happen with people around you, people you care about yourself, and those are very quick, stark reminders of how fleeting time can be, and how important health is, and and how important keeping an eye on the people around you and just trying to help others around you too, and I think that 2024 was a crazy year. I mean, it was a wild year in the world. And I think for a lot of us, it was more good than bad. That's not the case for everybody. I say it on these shows when we talk about the holidays and some of that stuff. It's always good to check in on others and make sure that those around you are, within arm's length, you're just checking in on people. Don't take things for granted. Things change very, very quickly. We're lucky that we've got, we're in a business that's doing well, and we're surrounded by good people who are having success, and we're all successful in our own right. So that's all good. And so for me, especially when you get to the end of the year and you take a breath and you kind of reflect on all of the things, I think that it's also easy to then let the negative stuff kind of consume you as well when, and you try to take the little wins when you can get them. There's also a lot of joy and good stuff out there too. So try not to get too hung up on the negative when, there is also a lot of good. So with that, it's been a pretty interesting, good ride this year. I'm excited for 2025. I am extremely and eternally grateful for all of you and everybody who, participates on Sherpa, as I mentioned that earlier, and some of the folks that aren't on the show today, and Omar and Adam and everybody else that took time, and obviously Drew, and very grateful for the family and and for the audience. So I'm going to close it out like I say in every single show. Look, without y'all, there's no us. So we want to thank you guys for tuning in and checking in and giving us, positive feedback and letting us know where things that you think we can do better. We're always open to all of that good stuff. Although if you complain too much, we'll just tune you out. Like I said, if somebody wants to complain enough, we'll just send you a refund for the cost of watching the show. That's always an option. But for real, we want to say thank you to everybody who continues to tune in and support us. And, we will continue to try to entertain and educate y'all as we go. And, Josh is outside, just ready to soak in the sunshine. He's said his piece and he's out. And we've all said our piece, so we are out as well. And again, thank you everybody for all the blessings in 2024. Looking forward to 2025. And we'll see everybody next time here on Domain Sherpa, where all roads lead to domains. Happy New Year, everybody. Peace out, and we'll see you soon.
Happy New Year.